Ted, thanks so much for that call. I appreciate that call. Let's see if Rick in St. Petersburg is on the line. Rick, are you there? Uh, all right, we're gonna take Rick off and go to Nancy in St. Petersburg and see if Nancy is on the air. Nancy, are you there?
Yes, I am.
All right, go ahead, please.
Hi, yeah. Am I to understand that this is for MacDill employees only?
No, ma'am. There's a MacDill commuter that would be just like the Fishhawk commuter from the bus. If you live in Fishhawk, you can take the bus and go on to MacDill. But anyone can ride that bus. But then the ferries would also be available in the evenings and weekends, subject to demand and facilities, to do other kinds of services.
My next question. So it leaves from MacDill?
It would in the morning it would leave from South County to go to MacDill. In the afternoon it would bring the MacDill employees back. It's very much like a commuter express bus service. Right now Hart runs I think 12 or 13 buses every day from Fishhawk in South County to MacDill. They do 3 or 4 stops and then the next stop is MacDill. And anyone can ride those, but you have to have a pass to get on MacDill. Everyone has to have a pass to get on MacDill.
I see. Okay. So not just anybody can MacDill. This is my point. I would imagine that since we are at war, and this is a strategic command for the Mideast, well, what are we doing having people coming in and out of MacDill Air Force Base?
Well, we've worked through those security protocols with MacDill, and we understand how to do that. And just like faster than, we won't go through those security protocols, but it's faster than going by car.
Faster than going by air? Airport security thing?
Oh no, it's far faster than that, ma'am. Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Isn't that strange?
Well, it's because it's because.
I mean, this is a key place in our, in what we do in the world. I don't understand why we not think of the kind of airport security that others would have, which would really take a lot of time to get my meetings. Anyway, that was all I had.
It just sure.
This is WMNF. Can we get your first name and where you're calling from? Dan and Tampa. Okay, I'm gonna put you on hold. We'll get you on here real soon. This is WMNF. Can I get your first name and where you're calling from? Yeah, I'm gonna put you on hold. If you give me your first name and where you're
to
calling
be
from.
able to be allowed to get there.
Real soon.
And once they disembark the vessel, when they get to MacDill,
Eddie and
they go
Chris,
through
I'm gonna put you
a
on
second
hold.
security
I'll
check
get you
going
real soon.
onto land there.
Wow.
So you're able to really streamline your security even while increasing the level of security because you have a lot more control than you do in an airport.
I see. Okay. So what if you don't work still?
But you can't go.
That was
Well, actually, anyone who has a pass to go onto the base could use the ferry. If you were to drive up to MacDill right today, you could not get on the base. But you can get credentialed, and there's a visitor center where you can get a pass, and they do a basic check on you, and they give you a pass, and then you can get on. So it's no different. The ferries are no different than anyone else wanting to get on the base, and MacDill has their procedures for use it. A lot of non-employees go to the base. They go to the commissary. A lot of former military employees, defense contractors, civilians, and it's just a matter of credentialing now. So basically, the base will do the same security for everyone, and if you can get on the base in a car, you'll be able to get on a ferry.
Thank you for that call, Nancy. And another point that might be made is you were mentioning at the beginning of the show that these are the daytime commuter hours Service Express. But there's also talk that there could be passenger ferry from downtown Tampa to downtown St. Petersburg, either at night or on the weekends or in the future.
This is WMNF.
That's correct, and I think
Edgar, from where?
once
Lights, okay.
this
I'm gonna
gets
try and
stood
hold on.
up,
We'll try to get you on there real
the
soon.
light will go on to millions of people in the Bay Area, and they will say, why didn't we do this 20 years ago? Because it's so cheap, it's so easy. Just think of like St. Pete to West Shore. I mean, that bridge is a mess. And when they start reconstructing I-275, State Route 60, and the Veterans, which will be a 4-year process, you know, you could stand up ferry service between downtown St. Pete and West Shore, by example. There's 5,000 people who live in South County who work in downtown. Taking a ferry in is congestion proof. And that's the other point. This is congestion proof. It takes people off the roads, gives them some attractive options. And I think once we get this going, in 10 years, we'll see robust ferry service like you see in San Francisco and Seattle.
I'm going to read some of the emails that have been coming in. You're speaking with Ed Turanchik, former Hillsborough County Commissioner. Also, Mark Fernandez is on the phone. He's with HMS Ferries in Jacksonville. We have an email from John Papp who says, I live in Plant City. Why in the world would I be interested in my tax monies supporting a ferry service for MacDill employees' benefit?
Well, I don't know that he would be, but, you know, why would you, he probably also wouldn't be interested in widening Del Mabry in South Tampa. You know, it's one of those questions you always get. If it doesn't benefit me, I'm not interested in it. But I will say this to him from this proposition. To the extent that we can create transportation capacity for literally a small percent of building a roadway, it means that we have to sink less money into building that capacity in this corridor that is US 301, US 41, I-75, Selman, Dale Mabry, Bayshore. So if we can build transportation capacity more efficiently, I think that benefits all taxpayers generally, but obviously anyone traveling in those corridors will benefit from this, even if they don't use the service, because we'll have greater capacity for not much money.
Dave in Tampa sent us a text message. He wants to know, is there any chance there would be boat service down as far as Sarasota or Bradenton?
You know, the nice thing about boats is that unlike a bridge or a road or a rail line, they can go someplace else. So if you have, let's say 10 years from now, even with these 3 boats, if there's an interest for someone contracting shuttle service between Sarasota and Bradenton and St. Petersburg on weekends, if the boats are available, I think, well, Mark's on the phone, I think they're available. It obviously can't interfere with the primary mission. When you just have 3 boats, you got to use those boats for the commuter service. But after 6 o'clock at night, they're there to meet whatever the demand is, wherever it happens to be.
We have another text message. It says, how many gallons per hour are these ferries going to be burning up? Tampa Bay does not need any more pollution, is what this person is saying.
Mark?
Well, I can't accurately answer that because the power plant has not been designed. We haven't gotten the design phase of the vessel yet.
But
But the whole idea behind the operation is to environmental impact, not
But we do know this, that we know that by carrying 1,500 passengers a day, we reduce NOx pollution by 15 tons a year, and that's net. Because whatever vessels are brought on, they'll be brought in 2017, and they'll have to meet the new NOx requirements, which is no emissions. So we'll have an absolute reduction in nitrous oxide vehicular pollution that's beneficial to the ecology of the bay, and no addition of nitrous oxide from the vessels that are running. And so from a water quality perspective, that's a big deal.
I have another email from Kevin in Tampa. He asks if the hardware is paid for by the public, and I'm pretty sure much of the balance of the costs, tickets, etc., Why should a private company make a profit from the people moving service? This service, if paid for by the people, should be managed by local government and any profits returned. He goes on from there, but Ed, how would you respond to that?
Well, I think that it goes back to my original point. If government was doing this, it would probably be require an operational subsidy, and that it probably wouldn't even happen. That the government wouldn't take the operational risk. And here, HMS is putting $10 to $12 million of its own money up to run the service. It believes it can make a profit, and that money which it puts in, it will be entitled to a rate of return on investment on. The agreement provides for profit sharing with the local government, and I would say ultimately this is just the way the deal happens to reduce the exposure of taxpayers to the risk of operation. Like if it was hard service, you pay for all the capital plus 75% of the operating costs. The very strong attribute of this deal is that the private sector is taking that operating risk.
Let's go now to the phones again. Dan in Tampa, you're on the air.
And go to MacDill, am I right?
No, from South Hillsborough County and go to MacDill. During commuter service, yes, sir.
Right, and only to MacDill. So the only people who's gonna benefit are the people working at MacDill, basically. People working at the base, and let me just finish.
Yeah.
That base is built out. There's not gonna be any more people added to that base anymore. It's pretty much built out. So the population there is sticky and constant no matter what. So the only good thing that I see about this is that you're gonna be taking cars out of the air. Otherwise, it's not benefiting anybody. You take a few cars off the road that are on the road. It's not going to help alleviate the road problems here, generally speaking, but there's not that many people at the base that impact the area like that.
Well, that's just not correct. There are 8,000 people who live in South Hillsborough County that work at the base. They travel at a 90-minute window. One lane of interstate or roadway can carry 2,300 vehicles per hour. That volume of people from South County going to MacDill consumes about 1.5 lanes of roadway between South County and MacDill. Taking them off those, well, that's a different question, right?
All European trains that run in Europe are all subsidized. Make sure your train is subsidized, as is in America, basically. The good things about them is they do take cars and carbons off the air, and they're more efficient. But otherwise, they do have to all be subsidized. Germany, they're not all subsidized. Pretty much everyone is getting a subsidy. Every one of them. Well, I can name some that are. I work for a company that has been running ferry operations for 20 years with similar vessels, and it is not subsidized, it's privately owned. Out of Seattle.
I would point out that 9 of the 10 highest growth areas or communities in Tampa Bay area are in South Hillsborough County. So more people are coming. And one of the questions is, how can you free up roadway capacity so there's less congestion? And I'm sorry, if you can take 1,500 to 2,000 people off the roads in an hour period or an hour and a half period, that's a really significant thing. To do the same by building a roadway would cost $1 billion.
Dan,
And we're doing this for $25 million.
thank you for that call, Dan. I want to move on and see if we can squeeze in another call or two. Eddie in Nokomis, you're on the air.
Bus where you can get off at any stop. There's only one stop. It ends up at MacDill. And the whole thing is, well, why doesn't MacDill pay for it? They've got the money from the U.S. government. We pay 20% of every dollar we pay into taxes goes to defense. So they should pay for it, not us. We shouldn't have to pay for it. If it's stopping other places and taking people other places, that's great, but it's only taking people to MacDill.
Sure.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Well, in fact,
The other thing is we all live our I don't care what anybody says. That's why that train thing, the light rail,
Eddie, thank you for that call. Let's let Mark respond.
Yeah, a couple of things that one part is going between South County and MacDill creates an opportunity that otherwise would not exist. There has never been a long-term, regular operating, ferry operation in Tampa Bay since around World War II. And part of the reason is because it doesn't make a lot of economic sense, or it would cost some subsidy in order to operate. You're correct there. But what MacDill provides the opportunity is because you have a known, quantifiable ridership in a concentrated area going from one place to another concentrated area, unlike buses where people are getting off all along the way and you really don't know how many people are getting on or getting off. You're able to create a business model that makes sense where an independent operator like yourself.
Mark, I have to cut you off. I'm so sorry. That's Mark Fernandez with HMS Ferries. Thank you for joining us. And Ed Turanchik from Hillsborough County Commission, former commissioner. Thanks so much for talking with us today. This is the WMNF News and Talk at Noon. I'm Sean Kinane, WMNF Tampa. Oh, sorry, that didn't end it very well.